A little rough. We're still fighting for third place right now, but we know how the fights early game are going on. It's all about Rangers ruin.
And 𝐶𝐤 gonna be the first touchdown, grabs the chest. Chino running around, but nowhere left to run. Pablo, though, with the sweeper, finds 𝐶𝐤. It's gonna be 𝐒𝐂𝐬 brought down next by 𝐿𝐷oxy. 2 versus 1 scenario, but 𝐒𝐻 has a real chance. 𝐻 takes out Pablo. It's all down to the 1v1, and 𝐿𝐷oxy immediately heading for the high ground. Doesn't want to get trapped with the swarm, but that separation, he hasn't had a chance to utilize his shield potion just yet. 𝐻, on the other hand, wrapping around, taking out, stopping Fred in the midst of healing, but 𝐻, he just can't close the gap. He doesn't have any materials. 𝐿𝐷oxy doesn't have a whole lot left to work with either, but he has the builds in his favor, and 𝐻, he'll opt to try and trade, but it's the patented Fred lurk, and he's creeping up. 𝐻 can't get the revive. 𝐿𝐷oxy through the window, and 𝐻 can't find it.
He got multiple pieces through that wall, and even the cone inside. He's trying to distract him long enough while he backtracks and tries to go revive for revive. So no longer going to be a 1v1. 𝐶𝐤 and Pablo are back into the game, but business as usual. 𝐭𝐧𝐣𝐨𝐲𝐞𝐿, and Aspect are looking to third party this fight.
Oh my gosh, it's the same story over and over. The hesitation comes in, right? The elongated fight. We're still in a 2v2. We know the third party's gonna come in, but if you take a look at the map, there's only one orange arrow. Maybe the full commit has not come in just yet. We'll have to see how this one plays out.
It's almost like sending in the lone scout to try and figure out, is this really worth getting involved with just yet? But 𝐶𝐤, 𝐻, they've got such an advantage now over Pablo and 𝐿𝐷oxy. Their HP rapidly dwindling away here as 𝐶𝐤 now just waiting for that final opportunity, but without a shotgun, he doesn't feel confident enough, and for good reason, because one good bump shot could be the end of it. 𝐿𝐷oxy's gonna opt to try and get away, but 𝐻 just too accurate. 𝐻 immediately panning the other direction, and that'll be the end of 𝐿𝐷oxy's team.
When 𝐿𝐷oxy hit that crash pad, 𝐻 had 9 medium bullets left. By the time he got that elimination, 4 well-placed shots. He gets the elim, they win off spawn, and just like 𝐿𝐷oxy had those chances, a comeback opportunity for 𝐶𝐤.
But Vivid, you know, we've been watching that off spawn take place all day long. You have to expect that surely third party is still going to want to get involved.
Yeah, I mean, the reboot, right? That's going to be on their minds. Is that going to be possible? We know when you go ahead and reboot, there's a giant beam that comes down from the sky, lets everybody know, but oh my gosh, Darm, Damus, and Pix, they're in trouble.
Yeah, they're in trouble. Pix is going to be down. 𝐿𝐷oxy walks and pings. They have advantage in this fight, and they know how stacked the top side of the leaderboard is, and they're not scared. They want to continue to put the pressure. It's just a matter of, did they see Darm? Did they see Demus rotate over in that direction towards the rainbow field? And I do think they did. Crash pads coming out. They're trying to close the gap.
Battle between 3rd and 7th, it's just not worth it. The juice is not worth the squeeze here for Bolin and Demus. Darm, fortunately enough for them, 𝐿𝐷oxy not checking the bushes, a little bit lackadaisical.
And this is how we know it's game 11, right? With only a couple chances left for some of these teams to pick up points. This is atypical for 𝐿𝐷oxy walks and ping. We've seen them kind of base up early every single game, but now the push, the aggression, they'd be thinking about the points they need.
It's just all too close for comfort. Swizzy, 𝐒𝐲𝐣𝐨, and 𝐿𝐷moustache know full well they had such a monumental lead to start the day, but it only took several matches, and they've watched those points quickly go the other direction for everybody else except them.
Yeah, you're getting a little bit of a deeper look, looking towards the north, trading shots with Mr. Savage and the entire trio towards the west. It is going to be goofy in the trio. Even with a knock there, there's just too much time and distance separating these two teams. It's going to take a crash pad and a Flowberry Fizz, and it still might not even be enough as we jump on board Sadie, Panzer, 𝐿𝐷oxy. The crowd just constantly letting them know how they feel, and since the zone is coming over towards the 𝐶𝐷oxy factory, you can see this is where they're set up to try to get that damage.
I mean, yeah, this is something that we've seen across every single one of the games, right? 𝐿𝐷oxy just kind of based up early on. Sadie, you might be looking at his inventory like, why does he have nothing in there? That's because he's going around the entirety of the map, making sure that his team is going to be set up very nicely for the rest of the game, while they go ahead and pick up all of the damage.
Elsewhere, you see some of the action going on. Baka getting a knock onto Adapter. Hasn't cleaned up the elimination yet, but Darm has been found out. Walks and pings. They take the 2v1. one step closer to sending the entire trio back to the lobby, but 𝐒𝐈𝐊𝐿𝐿 ends it as well, and the 1v1 against Demas. Third place is out of there.
𝐒𝐈𝐿𝐿 might have missed them the first time, but they knew they had to still be local to the area. There's only so far that they can actually squirm away to, and the fact that they just get completely ran down here by 𝐋𝐈𝐿𝐿 and 𝐒𝐈𝐿𝐿, those are the types of aggressive plays you have to make when you are 7th place and you're staring down a leaderboard that is so tight-knit.
The crowd just constantly cheering for anybody on the MA or Havoc squad, letting them know, like, hey, take our energy, you guys have this. As 𝐒𝐲𝐝, 𝐿𝐿 and 𝐿𝐿, different strategy this time around. Instead of sitting on top of Supernova Academy, they're going for a lurk. 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬, Rapid, and Bolts, and they do see all the information in the feed. So if any of them do get knocked, I expect 𝐿𝐿 and his trio to run straight over and try to get the chop and clean up what could be good damage.
Yeah, but this is something that we've seen before, right? Socials were kind of talking about how 𝐿𝐿, yeah, they might have gotten a knock on this exact trio before, but they were a little bit hesitant to go ahead and push, right? Are we going to see something similar right now? Will they go ahead and full commit? I mean, 12th going into game number 11, you would imagine they got to be thinking this time, we got to go for it.
Sometimes if you let it sit too long, your blade starts to go cold, and if they don't act fast, they're gonna maybe have to watch this opportunity completely pass them by. The big thing here too is that 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬 and Bolts, they're not even replenishing their shields. They are totally content with being knocked inside of their surge base. They've got Rapid, healthy. I mean, that's your 𝐼GL, so of course he's just refarming all of the materials, looking for extra ones as well.
I mean, that's scary. You're sitting on the global stage right now. I can tell you right now, Jacob, if I was sitting up there with no shield on, knowing that so many of these competitors have been making plays on these exact type of bases. We've seen it time and time again, not only throughout the year, but throughout this exact competition, that plays, these sneaky plays for the bottom of these surge towers. They are made all the time, and you have no shield right now?
It's just in my head, I'm thinking, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. They're trying to watch out for Rapid. They know their focus on top over at the OXR HQ, and they know Rapid is wandering around on the low ground, replenishing all of the materials that they use to build that surge tower, and they're just waiting, like I said, for that knock or for an opportunity to get that 3v1 onto Rapid, whichever one comes first.
But if Rapid goes one step too far, 𝐒𝐲𝐿𝐿, 𝐿𝐿, 𝐿𝐿, the moment that they realize that he's by himself, Rapid would actually be the best player to hit a nice 3-2-1 on, because he's the one carrying everything for 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬 and Bolts right now. He has max materials just about. He's still trying to finalize just the last few components. 𝐿𝐿, 𝐒𝐲𝐿𝐿, 𝐿𝐿 just creeping forward. Rapid starting to make his way up, but they've been exposed. They took moments too long, and now Rapid, red alert, mayday situation here. But Bolts, 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬 with a plethora of heals in this surge base. This is not the place for 𝐿𝐿, 𝐒𝐲𝐿, and 𝐿𝐿.
Instantly trying to go for that chop down. All three are up above. Here it comes. They pop the Flowberry Fizz just in time, but 𝐿𝐿 laying an immense amount of damage, getting Bolts down to just a sliver of HP, and they're immediately pushing over. Vivid said it, and he meant it. They are learning their lesson. 331 points. They fell outside of the top 10 with 2 games left. They have to take these chances.
But Vivid, do you think that it's still worth trying to force this engagement, knowing full well that you're looking at a team like 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬 that's got more than enough surge, and they can afford to stick around with all these heals?
I think the power behind the push for 𝐿𝐿, 𝐒𝐲𝐿, and 𝐿𝐿 right there was all about the surprise. Rapid with an MVP performance, acting like a bird in the sky, making sure that he kept his 2 teammates safe. Shout out to him, because when you look at the leaderboard, they're in 5th place right now. If Rapid doesn't see them, everything falls apart. So shout out to Rapid for catching that one. And Mr. Savage, Chap, and Reason, they've been having a pretty good weekend, but towards the end of the competition right now, it seems like they're slowing down.
Do have to believe it's a little bit revitalizing, though, when you watch Reason put on such a strong solo performance in the last lobby. That tells me they've still got gusto, and they're still willing to throw everything on the line to make it work.
Yeah, they're chasing right now. Aegis, Acorn, and Boyle, they see Mixon outside by himself. They're trying to clean up that elimination. Upfull's gonna go down as well. No more knocks coming into play, which means that full team is down and out of this lobby. the aggressive plays coming late into the day here on day 2 for 𝐒𝐳𝐸 and 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬 seem to be working out.
Jacob, you're talking about aggressive plays. We've obviously been able to take a look at a couple of them, but if you look in the top left, the player count right now, 59. This lobby is getting destroyed by aggression right now.
These guys are crashing on each other is what that tells me, Vivid. But 𝐒𝐲, �swizzy, and �merstash, they're taking a much more tactical approach. 𝐒𝐲, the mastermind, you have to remember, back at the Invitational in 2022, he was the one that made the decision. I want to land on them. I want to challenge it, and it's not as direct, but it's still there.
Jacob, this is a strategy. They know they land 𝐿XR. They're waiting on top of the mountain. They want to rain down the shots as they fly through the sky.
They crack the shields onto one. There's just so much distance before he reaches the ground. He's out of render distance overall. Instantly comes the crash pad. �merstash, 𝐒𝐲, �swizzy, they're trying to rotate in that direction. Finally, they get another opportunity, and it works. 𝐒𝐤a goes down. �merstash, �swizzy, and 𝐒𝐲 are going after second place.
But what's going to be faster, the double revive or �swizzy, �merstash, and 𝐒𝐲? They're doing everything they can to try and collapse onto this position. 𝐒𝐤a's already been back up into the running, but they're going all in here. �swizzy, 𝐒𝐲, �merstash, they're looking to control their own destiny. They want to take down 𝐒𝐤a. They want to make it so that game 12 isn't even close. But �merstash, 𝐒𝐲, �swizzy, they're just not able to close the gap. And �merstash, he's lost too much HP. He's going to be forced to fall back.
This is it. This is the moment. Why wait till game 12? Marius, Pixie, and 𝐒𝐤a, they've given an opportunity here to take down first plate and potentially take that spot. Few points separate them, and �swizzy's probably realizing their backs are up against the wall, maybe even second-guessing this decision to go ahead and try to surprise attack them. But they have the low ground. Marius, Pixie, 𝐒𝐤a, they have the high ground, and since they do have that, they have the decision to hold and pressure them down below or rotate out like you see here.
No risk, no story, though, and Marius a little bit smarter here. �merstash, 𝐒𝐲, �swizzy,
Oh my
they're still
God.
chasing them all the way down to the bird to go. These guys are full-on fighting inside of the storm. It's early zoning, so they don't have to worry too heavily, but it's the storm sickness, Jacob. Both of these teams are delaying their own endgame.
It's something that we saw come into play in that last game, the storm sickness, getting chunks of HP ripped off in the end game, but they're continuing to go. They want to chase this one down, but Pixie on the other side, he's the most elevated. 𝐒𝐤a, he's on the low ground trying to heal the best that he can, but so Pixie is making sure to defensively hold that high ground. Marius as well, Flowberry Fizz, just make sure to top off the shields. That way they can force them down further and further. They continuously are getting chased, but you say, you know what? You want to fight? Come get it.
They're throwing everything at this one. The inventory, all of the heals, they're disappearing. Marius is becoming fully aware that the investment is soon becoming not worth it. How aggressive they're gonna get. They're coming right box to box, wall to wall right now.
But think about the biggest differences here. 𝐒𝐲's team, they're not actually carrying shotguns. All they have is the Wrecker revolvers in comparison to Marius, who's wrecking both, but it's a gray sentinel at best. And that Wrecker revolver just not able to get close enough. Pixie, 𝐒𝐤a, Marius essentially at a standstill right now with 𝐒𝐲.
They have the majority of the heals. You already see the slurp juice in the inventory, med kits being used. Essentially almost 200 HP and shields combined between these two, so they do have a little bit more of an upper hand. And I think Marius knows they're running out of HP resources to keep this fight going longer, so they are definitely now officially on the clock. This deep in the zone, and it's only the fourth one overall. �merstash and them still have splashes underneath. He has dropping, almost gets boxed up. �merstash has his head on a swivel, continuously turning around, but 𝐒𝐤a talked about the double pump, and there it is in action. Marius is able to get the knock onto one, but he gets dropped to 30 HP. They desperately need the siphon, but oh no! Disaster strikes! Pixie is now the last one alive! �merstash and �swizzy, they lose 𝐒𝐲, but it's only a knock. He's quickly going for the revive. A miracle in the making as Pixie falls!
They got all three! That's all that they needed! The space has been created, but now they have to capitalize on it. It's one thing to take them out, it's another to keep building on the lead overall. 𝐒𝐲, �merstash, and �swizzy, this game has just begun.
Insane scenes here. Two top teams from EU fighting. Now it's NA's chance as Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold end that fight as soon as we turn in, and he's using his own emote on Showboat and said, hey, you might be ahead of us on the leaderboard, but we know who's the king.
Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. We just tuned in 6 eliminations. That one's gotta feel good. Coming all the way over from NA to the global stage. Kind of that back and forth that happens between those two trios. That one's gotta feel good. I can't lie, Taco, right? Ritual with 4 eliminations himself, showing what a year's worth of mechanical training can really do on the big stage.
We all witnessed the Richie 1v3s throughout the divisional cups, Vivian, and even in the majors, Ritual was putting up quite a stellar performance, but now things are gonna fall directly into the line of sight here for 𝐒𝐲𝐳, FaZe and King. They've already spotted out 2 other teams based on mountains right next to us. These next couple of rotates could be rather difficult, but 𝐭𝐻, Rapid, and Bolts, they're still looking to press forward. They're actually trying to do it from underneath. They're hoping that they can just collect whatever leftover hard mats they can find.
With a sold-out crowd, you know they're going for M8, you know they're going for Havoc. So everybody at home, watching on Twitch, watching online, you need to give your energy to NA if you want to see a miracle comeback, because 2nd, 3rd, 4th place, all of them down. 5th place, that's 𝐭𝐻, Rapid, and Bolts, and a chance to close the gap. Especially more so if they can figure out a way to take down 𝐒𝐲𝐣𝐊𝐿𝐴, 𝐻𝐈𝐿, and 𝐒𝐻. But we're now into the top 17. This is where placement points are going to come into play, and they're going to start moving quickly.
Vivian, how do you feel seeing this rotation by Savage? Reason and Chap, they looked relatively healthy, but they're not the only ones. Other teams in EU definitely making their presence known.
Yeah, the chase is on right now for a couple of our teams, namely 𝐿𝐴, 𝐻𝐈𝐿, and Ping. The aggression early, they want to go ahead and catch up to Rapid, 𝐭𝐻, and Bolts, right? That's the only team that is currently alive that is ahead of them right now. And as I say that, pressure starts to rain in.
Why does this look like one of the practice lobbies right now, though? Down to our last 17 teams and only 6 zone. Ping, Lux, 𝐿𝐴. They're trying to see if they can bring down Agers and Acorn with it. Poyo's already been claimed. Acorn, Agers just trying to create a little bit of space, but they know this might be a fight that they can't avoid any longer. They're gonna have to try and take a crash pad out of here, but 𝐿𝐴, Wax, and Ping, they are fully wary of what lies ahead.
Yeah, and you can see in the minimap, Acorn, Agers, they immediately rotated out with or without the reboot card. A couple more teams rotating in and around this path for Pings, Wax, and 𝐿𝐴. Could be opportunities, elims, or more damage, but they see that coming. They want to continue to rotate in. Right next to them, 𝐒𝐲𝐣𝐊𝐴, 𝐒𝐻𝐈𝐿, all trying to get this elevation differential for this next zone.
But just above them on the other side of this mountain face, 𝐭𝐻, Rapid, Bolts, they see the crash pad. 𝐒𝐻, he's been clipped. 𝐒𝐻 is brought down. 𝐶𝐈𝐲 also incredibly low. They're going to be forced to drop all the way down. That hot security that they were once hoping for has been completely lost here. 𝐒𝐲𝐣𝐊𝐴, the healthiest member of his team, but he's got nobody next to him. He can't get close to 𝐶𝐈𝐲𝐻.
And that's that investment. What goes around comes around. If you want to sit and storm and fight between 1st and 2nd place, you want that one to be drawn out. You want to invest everything you have into it. One, you realize that you got to make one of these rotations all the way up the mountain. All of these aimers kind of paying attention to you. You realize quickly you don't have what it takes to survive in this lobby.
Oh my, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I talked about them being out. And now 5th place has just lost their IGL and Rapid, and it's 𝐒𝐲𝐣𝐊𝐴 and 𝐶𝐈𝐲𝐼 that are doing the majority of that damage as they try to make their way into the zone.
But 𝐒𝐲𝐣𝐊𝐴 can't get down. He has no mats. They were all on 𝐶𝐈𝐲𝐼 and 𝐒𝐻. They hadn't had a chance to actually drop any of the materials. He does see a crash pad. He's trying to bring 𝐶𝐈𝐲𝐼 up with him. And now 𝐶𝐈𝐲𝐼 manages to connect. What a brilliant play from 𝐒𝐲𝐼. Most players would have probably taken that for themselves, but he said, nah, you come back up here with me.
That's just a shine. That's just a glimpse. That is 7,000 IQ and the selfless plays, and why we call him one of the greatest IGL. No, forget that. That's why we call him one of the greatest Fortnite players in the history of the game, and he's looking to prove it. If he could just close out these last 2 games, even with the loss of our 𝐿𝐴, there's still 1,100 damage above the threshold as they land a couple more shots. Now 1,200 and continuously rolling.
But this is a really healthy trio. Cooper, Curly, Reed. I don't know if that's what 𝐒𝐲𝐣𝐊𝐿 is really looking to chase up. He's not trying to bark up the wrong tree here after all. You've got to be a little bit more reserved here, Vivid. They don't want to overextend their welcome.
I mean, they're in the mix of things right now. They've gotten a couple of shots on a couple of trios right there. Maybe they can make something happen. As I say, that 𝐒𝐲𝐣𝐊𝐿 actually gets knocked. Now it's going to be all left is Swizzy. Swizzy gets knocked down. First, second, third, fourth, all out of the competition.
They at least had some eliminations to go with it, but will it really be enough? The leaderboard will have to wait and tell a different story here. 𝐒𝐿𝐴 walks and Ping, though, fighting a battle of their own. They're now looking to see if they can overthrow the high ground. 𝐒𝐲𝐳, they've been a little bit tagged up here, but it's Ping who eats the greater bulk of his shields there. 𝐒𝐿𝐴 walks, now having to head towards the forefront. They're looking back, they're trying to provide some support. They have a slight placement on this side of the mountain, and they are looking down, and guess who's underneath them? Peterbot, Cold, Ritual, Mr. Savage, Chapman, Reason, so many teams crashing onto this mountain face.
A good chunk of the top 10 overall back into the lobby. Even our 5th place team on that leaderboard missing a player, and one of the more important ones into Rapid as 𝐻𝐻𝐿, PHN, King. They know they're not in zone just yet. In fact, they might have one of the farthest pulls in the entirety of the lobby with Aspect, Tinka, 𝐭𝐧𝐣𝐊𝐿 in the path. They want to continue to roll through. Even with the med kits, even with the minis, they realize they are lacking materials and a ton of them.
Paying attention to the leaderboard of the last global championship. No minor region teams in the top 10. King, 𝐻𝐻𝐿, PHN, they're trying to make that push right now. When you want to talk about a push, Taco, bolts towards the bottom of the mountain. No mats to work with. Top 5 as it currently stands. The push is on.
What a genius, though. boltz recognizing that the zone's going to pull over this Big Ben tunnel face. He's going to take a little bit of a harbor safety inside. But King, he's got literally 1 HP and a dream. The small shield potion, he's managed to get it off. But 𝐻𝐻𝐿, only 2 builds remain. He can't keep continuing to hold that leverage over 𝐾𝐧𝐻. Instead, 𝐻𝐻𝐿 hold on for dear life, but he needs the heal. He won't get the chance. He's gonna be eaten alive by the lobby.
Oh, he props the crash pad, but instead he goes straight up and back to the lobby with that elimination. That one's gonna hurt, but a lot of the rank ups coming in, and that's an A rank upgrade. That could be fruitful for boltz underneath, who has to start to think, who has to start to act quick because he has only 8 builds, no heals in his loadout, and no mobility on top of that as we're going high up the mountain.
boltz doesn't even get a chance really to try stop and check. He's just making sure that he stays concealed towards that backside of zone. But on the high ground, Vlad, Hero, 𝐹𝐾𝑠, they've actually managed to overtake one of the best positions that we've seen them in all weekend long.
Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual, they don't want to walk away from this competition without at least putting some sort of a staple into it. They want to show everybody that, hey, listen, we had a tough time off spawn, but when we make it to the end game, we can put on a show.
Yeah, boltz just went down off the side of that mountain. Their run in this game has come to an end. Did they get enough to move into the top 4? But Peterbot now battling for it all, and he is by himself. Cold and Ritual are all down below, and he's done it. He's gotten the high ground. He's gotten elimination. Here he is. He's finally woken up from his slumber, and he's continuing to pressure down and stealing the high ground away. He joins Ritual and Cold on the other side and takes what's theirs.
Yesterday, Peterbot said, it's my day off, but today, it's a whole new beast coming alive here in the final hour. 𝐹𝐾𝑠 gonna be taken out by Ritual. Aspect as well, claiming that series of eliminations, but Cold, Peterbot, and Ritual, they're now kings of the mountain face and might be kings of this lobby if everyone else isn't careful.
There's still more than half of the placement points still available in this lobby, and I think Reason knows it. That's why he's moved to the outside of the zone. He saw 3 different med kits, a replenished amount of materials. This could be the difference maker in terms of point differential as that leaderboard goes down below. 𝐒𝐿𝐴, he's struggling all around, rejoins his team. The splashes are coming out, but they're in the backside of the zone. They're sacrificing HP to try to catch any team off guard.
It's because of the way that the zone is pulled over this slight bridge of elevation, though. 𝐒𝐿𝐴, Ping, they don't have a whole lot of builds. 𝐒𝐿𝐴 is going to be forced to try and play heals, try and acquire whatever placement points are possible. The siphon materials going to give him a little bit of extra time and the 2 medkit, but still, he has to make his way forward, and he's going to have to crash directly into Reaper and Curly. But the moment they head down, they're taken out by Peterbot.
Reed just getting targeted from up above. He loses all of his materials, has no other choice, but another team contests towards the high ground. Cold, Ritual, and Peterbot, they're forced scrambling around, figuring out a way to reunite. The Flowberry Fizz does come out. That's 𝐒𝐲𝐶, that's Striker, that's 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬. They've taken down NA's best, but it's only for so long. Revenge comes in, and it comes in quick. Cold gets it down onto one. No Siphon just yet. He needs to buy time. No extra build, and he's facing Reason on the other side. But high ground disrupts the foe. Down they go. 3v3 here for the end game. Cammy, Hottie, that's relatively loose because 𝐼DROP is down. 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬, Striker, and 𝐒𝐲𝐶, they could take it all.
And this is what the international scene has needed all weekend long. But no, Cammy, Hottie, Cammy's not going to be able to make it through. It's only 𝐒𝐲𝐶, Striker, and 𝐭𝐡𝐢 left to deal with Hottie. But Ari, he'll be forced to charge forward. He tries to head towards the high ground, but he just doesn't have the HP. 𝐒𝐲𝐶 just needs one more shot, and he finds it. That's going to be the first victory royale here this weekend for an international scene.
The Brazilian region is on top. They've showed up. They've reached the top 10 in the leaderboard with a whole nother trio, and this is their chance to shine bright. Frankie, we needed what they're thinking.
We do, and I'm running over right now. This is the most exercise I've done all week, but it is worth it. Please, boys, on your feet. We got Ricardo translating for us. Stand up, please.